The shocking secret to finding great wholesale deals. Nothing crazy I'm going to tell you. Actually, I'm just going to tell you the truth on how to do it. I'm going to tell you how I do it. I'm going to tell you how I do it with my son on my business. And I'm even going to go back to the days when I first started. And you are going to see a resounding message that says you just have to be extremely consistent in your efforts. And so many people think like there's this magic formula to wholesaling. And there are some, I'm not going to call them tricks to the trade. Here's the trick, is you actually have to do the business. There is no shortcut to this. If you think you can do novations, or you can do this technique, or you can go get a power of attorney and you don't have to do wholesaling anymore, you're dead wrong. Actually, you need to dive in and learn how to do wholesaling correctly. And you are in one of the neatest markets I think we've seen in a long time. For the last, in my opinion, the last 7 years, the wholesaling market has just been wildly skewed. And people have made money that had no business making money in wholesaling. And the minute it gets tough, they come out with a video and go, this is why I don't wholesale anymore. It's so tough. They have no idea what tough is. So when you've done this business for 20 years plus, I will give you credentials of tough. But please don't tell me you got started today and you think it's really tough, or you're comparing it to the last 7 years and now you think it's tough. That was an anomaly, and I don't believe we're ever going to see stuff like that for quite a while. The first thing, we are going to walk through some of the mechanics of doing this. So what you've got to understand is, for you to become truly good at wholesaling, you have to be a list ninja. What do I mean by that? You got to be really proficient in pulling lists. The better you get at pulling lists, the better your success is going to be. Remember, I don't care how amazing your marketing ability is. If you were sticking $100 bills in the mail and said, "Let's just call me and you can have this $100 bill and I'll mail it back to you," or whatever, if you don't have the right list, it's never going to work. So first and foremost, you have to be a list ninja. How do you become a list ninja? It's simple, guys. Go after the right list. Let's talk about the first lists you need to go actually out there and do. So the easiest ones is, we're looking for the highest motivation. And guys, these are where I get my biggest deals from, hands down. The best way is just go over to the courthouse. I don't even care if you can go online, go to the courthouse and figure out how to pull these lists. So the one list I put on here, because it's such a no-brainer, is pull the foreclosure list. Catch them sooner than later. The earlier you can work with them, the better shot you got. But mostly, whoever forms a relationship with the seller that's in distress is going to have the highest probability of getting the deal. So foreclosures are the easiest. I didn't put it up here, but the reality is they are the easiest list to get because it is a public lawsuit and they can't really hide it. So there's no way to hide it. You should have zero resistance getting this list, guys. You've got to understand that. The next list I want you to get at the courthouse are evictions. Rick, they're tired landlords. Most of them are difficult to sell. Yeah, but every now and then there's a landlord. We're looking for landlords that they thought it was really sexy to be a landlord. Oh my God, the tenants pay off with the cash flow and then I get a clearance-free house. But they don't understand you actually have to manage the property and the tenants. And when tenants trash it or they stop paying or they get a bad court case, most of those people are looking to get rid of the property as soon as possible. So if you consistently market to these types of people, amazing things will happen. So you have to do it consistently. Once again, the evictions list is very public because it's technically a lawsuit, and a lawsuit has to be very public. The ones most of you that struggle with and you try to avoid at all costs, it sounds super sexy in nature, they're called probates. And I'm going to tell you, if you want the biggest, fattest wholesale deal you ever want in your life, I guarantee you it's inside the probates. I've done multiple six-figure deals off tiny little single-family homes from probates. My greatest creative financing deal ever was from a probate. My greatest wholesale spread was from a probate. My greatest hotel spread was from a probate. Guys, it doesn't matter. It could be a fix and flip. I don't recommend doing those, but I'm telling you, wholesales hold the most profit potential of all deals because they are the most problematic deals. They are some of the hardest lists to get with. Sometimes you got to deal with lawyers. You got to deal with realtors. You got to deal with emotional family people for obvious reasons. But if you can help people out and get them through it and navigate them through a wholesale probate deal, you get rewarded the highest. Now, why most wholesalers don't like to do these is number one, they're scared to death of them. I was horrified of doing a probate deal. Honestly, I thought it was be like you're one of those types of people. You ever hear that? You're one of those. So they used to call lawyers ambulance chasers. Used to call probate wholesalers like grave robbers. And I actually used to get offended when I first do it. And I saw how silly and stupid I was thinking that way. I'm just trying to help people out. Do people chew me out? Every day. But I just want to find that one person that truly wants to sell the house. Why are probate deals so good? Think about this. The houses are run down. You're taking care of people at their end of life, and the focus should be on the human being, not the property. And typically these properties are very outdated, and they're usually in another state or another market. Meaning grandma lived in Florida, the parents lived in Ohio. I'm sorry, their kids lived in Ohio. She passed away, and it's a lot of work going back and forth. Some of these properties have mortgages, they all have utilities, they have insurance payments, tax payments, and for that reason alone is why people are pretty highly motivated to get rid of a probate deal. So hands down, if the only thing you get out of this is you got to do probates. So that being that, let's talk about more about list. You've got to go to your county and city office, and what can I pull from there? My favorite list, hands down, and this is my second highest income producing list, is code violations. Think about this. Code violations is simply when you don't follow the city's policy on how you're supposed to care for your house. High grass, boarded up windows, mold all over the house, a blue tarp over the roof. If you don't eventually fix it, either the city drives by and shames you, or you have a Karen in your neighborhood that calls every day about your property, and you get a violation. If you don't correct the violation within 30 days, you start to get fines levied. They record it against the property, and the clock can be like $50 to $100 a day, and it gets wildly expensive. So if you get in that situation, those people usually need help. Listen, guys, people don't let their properties go in arrears for like no reason at all. You have to understand why they're doing it. So once they do that, if you understand it, you can reach out, you can help these people. It's super easy. Along the city and county list, your water shutoffs, make sure it's a public utility company, guys. These lists are highly motivated. Now, this list we only picked up within the last 10 years and learned how to do. It's not the easiest list to get a hold of. It's 50-50 at best. But if you're willing to do what other wholesalers won't do and actually work and get these earned lists, you can get a much higher result than what these people are going to do. So the water shutoff's huge. And then along that on the city county level is your fire damage properties. And I love fire damage properties because a lot of people don't know what to do with them. They're scared with them. Realtors run from them like the plague, but good quality cash buyer investors that know how to deal with fire damage properties, they'll buy them all day long because they're buying value, and value is what we provide as wholesalers. And why not go ahead and do this list? I love them because most fires are they're just extremely minor. Kitchen fires, bath fires, stuff like that. And it's not that big of a deal to fix up a room or something like that. Even the ones burnt all the way down, you can go all the way down to the land value on it. And all these types of lists, you either get from your county or your city offices. They're usually going to be in where your DMV is, the property appraiser's offices, or the building permits, what are they called? Applications and permits offices. At least that's the way it's set up in my areas when I go from this. So you've got to understand this. When I talk about lists, we're talking about List Ninja, the harder the list, the better for you. End of story. Listen, the harder it is to get something, it means you're going to have less competition doing it. The easier the list is, the more competition you're going to get for it. If you understand that functionality and that main differentiator, you'll understand why. And stop worrying if the list is free or not. If you can go to a county courthouse or a city municipality and pull the list, don't worry if it's free, because you wish you actually had to pay for it, because it would probably be easier what these people are going to put you through. Remember, the harder the list, the better, and you've got to understand that. One of the other techniques that a lot of people overlook is just simply going out and just driving for dollars. And you know what? You guys think, oh, no, that's only for the brand newbies. I don't do that anymore. Dude, I've been in this business 20 plus years. Driving for dollars is an instrumental part of what we do. Why? Because if I can look at a property and see distress, I'm so much quicker to getting a deal than just pulling it from a list. Remember, when you're pulling a list, you're just pulling data and criteria. to see if there's going to be a little bit of smoke. When I look at a property, not only do I see smoke, I see fire. I just got to connect with that seller and see if I can help them solve their problem. I know there's a problem. I just got to help them solve it. And that's our job. We are basically guides to help people out, to help solve a problem. You will never make someone sell you their house. You can try. God knows I tried. It doesn't matter. You have to deal with motivated sellers that want to talk to someone to help them fix their problem. And I cannot have the same conversation a realtor does. Realtors are looking to put perfect houses on the market and get tippy top dollar. I don't do that. I don't want to be a realtor. So driving for dollars is actually one of my favorite ways still to get it. And wherever we used to be short on leads, we'd send every employee in a car and do driving for dollars and come up with a minimum of 500 to 800 leads just in an afternoon. So if we can do that, you could probably easily go out and get 100 yourself. And guys, it is one of the fastest ways to get your fattest checks out there, because not only do you see fire, you see smoke, but you see fire. And that's why I love them so much. Another one that we often overlook is this simple method called reverse wholesaling. So if you never heard of this, go on my channel and just type in reverse wholesaling, or go over to Flip with Rick and you'll see reverse wholesaling. This is a method that we coined it early in the 2000s. I didn't invent it. I'd like to tell you I did, but I didn't. And all it says is we go out and concentrate on the buyer first. And you are in that type of market. I've been telling you to do this for the last year anyways. But the more intel you get from your cash buyers, the more you know what they'll pay for a property. You got to see, for the last 7 years, we've all been guessing because we didn't have to do this part. So now we're just reversing the order. Everyone always said, oh, go get a good, robust cash buyers list. But the reality is you have to do it now. You don't have a choice, because if you don't know what cash buyers are willing to pay, you're going to write really bad contracts and you're going to get frustrated quick. So reverse wholesaling is simply as you put the cash buyer first, you spend time, you gather intel, you actually talk to them, you vet them, make sure they're not wholesalers. That is the key to it. And then once you do that, you can go to your motivated sellers and you can find price points that work. And here's the really cool part. If a deal's close and it doesn't quite work, before you even write the contract, you can go back to your cash buyer, which you now have a real relationship with, a business relationship, not a personal one. And you can find out, listen, I know you'd only spend $150. If you can do $155, I think I can deliver you a property in that area by the end of today. Is that something you're willing to do? Okay, if you could do it today. Then you go back to your seller and go, listen, if you could just take $145 instead of $150, I can probably do the deal right now. And by doing that, if you get both sides to give, or even just one, you just made a $5,000 or $10,000 profit. It's reverse wholesaling. It just means you put the cart before the horse. You focus on your cash buyers of exactly what they want, and then you strategically home in on all your marketing for that area. And one of the best techniques that work for this is reverse driving for dollars, because you can use sticky notes. You can pick the exact neighborhoods or sub-cities, and you can target them very specifically. The reason I like reverse driving for dollars, because it has a high response rate and it works really, really well. Now, the other part I like about reverse wholesaling, I know there's a lot of information I'm hitting you with, is it works really good in whenever you do a new virtual market. Why? Because you don't really know the market and you're trying to understand it. And that can be frustrating. I know our company's been through that so many times. Every time we go to a new market, we understand there is a 3-month learning curve. What better way to embrace the 3-month learning curve than doing the reverse wholesaling strategy? And guys, it doesn't mean you don't lock up. You don't have to lock up any deals. You lock up really good deals, and the ones that are on the cuff, you leave that open-ended area so you can get that last negotiation on both parties. And if you can get both or just one, it is a home run for you, because you would have never done that deal before. And you don't screw up your inspection dates, and you can actually get time. And if it takes you 3 to 5 days to negotiate that reverse wholesaling, I'd rather you do that than write a 1-week inspection, 2-week inspection, where you actually still have time in case that buyer were to fall through. And so many of you guys do it like the reverse way. It drives me crazy. And the other one is, if you're doing land deals, reverse wholesaling is the only way to do land deals, in my opinion, because how much is somebody willing to pay for a piece of land? I don't know. And you know who knows? Your cash buyers all know. And so you got to get with them. Once you know what a cash buyer is specifically for land will pay, it's really easy. You just got to find motivated sellers within that area. And the really cool part about land is a lot of sellers, they only fixate on what they bought it for because they haven't had time to research on what the market is selling for. And honestly, land deals can be easier, but they can be lower in profit, but they go much, much faster. You don't have inspections, you don't have tenants to deal with, and you don't have to worry about dragging your cash buyer through it. That's why land deals work really well. Reverse wholesaling has always been around for land deals because if you don't know what your cash buyer is going to pay for it, you can't buy it. And that's the frustrating part about it. So make sure you understand that. So let's run through. We've talked about all the real fat deals on it. So let's break down the kind of mentality it takes to get the best wholesaling deals. And as I said, I don't really believe in secrets. I believe one of the biggest killers is people's lack of marketing. And you really have got the fight to do the marketing. And what do I mean by that is just like you have to be a list ninja, you have to be a marketing maniac. I should really coin that phrase, marketing maniac. You got to be incisive about like just getting your message out there. Remember, if you don't have the right list, it means you don't have the right roadmap to get there. So lists are vitally important, but the marketing aspect of wholesaling is you got to go out and you've got to fight every day for it. So let me walk through. What did I miss here? I missed, we're talking about the mindset. Also, a lot of problems we have is just accountability. So your lack of wholesaling success is going to stem from the accountability and what you hold yourself to. And I want you to keep this in mind. If you can't be honest and accountable with yourself, why would you do it with anybody else? Honestly, the hardest person to break a promise with is yourself because it hurts the most and you can't avoid yourself. And you got to understand that the same holds true in wholesaling. You got to be brutally honest with yourself. You're either going to thrive or you're going to die in this business, and you only lose when you quit. And I know nobody on this live stream is going to have that way of doing it. So let's talk about, the last one I'm going to talk about is, I know you've heard me say this before, but we talk about an upward spiral. So if you don't know what an upward spiral is, you know what a downward spiral is. And God knows we've all done it occasionally. Like one bad thing happens in your life, and then all of a sudden you just like, people always say, bad things always happen in threes. There is no statistical data for that other than maybe in Vegas. I apologize. Other than in Vegas. It's absolutely insane when people say that. Think about this for a second. Only bad things always happen in three. And I'm just kind of laughing when I hear stuff like this. It's just like, oh my God, that is so ridiculous. So I want you to understand this is if bad things can happen in three, why can't good things happen in three? The reality is if you spiral upwards or downwards, a downward spiral is when bad things start happening and like one bad habit starts bleeding into another and before you're at rock bottom. Now, the opposite can happen, an upward spiral. How? You start taking actionable steps to find great deals in wholesaling. Say you do probate, you went to the courthouse, did exactly what I tell you to do. You actually have to go and do it. I can't do it for you. Zach can't do it for you. And you actually pull these lists and you mail them a letter or you call them whatever, and somebody reaches out and contacts you. Now, I've had this happen in my life, and I'm going to be honest with you, I was not a believer when I first did wholesaling, if I'm going to be brutally honest. I was just like, okay, I'm going to give this a shot. I did give it a shot. I had to take the action. And I remember pulling the list. I remember somebody reaching out and calling me. I'm just like, so I went through, I qualified them. I remember hanging up going, oh my God, I think they really want to sell me the house at a discount. So I went to the appointment, scared, said everything wrong. I still got a great deal. And I walked away with like $32,000 3 weeks later. I'm thinking, this is amazing. I didn't even want to get too excited about it. Long story short, here I am 21 years later. So much happened in my life. I can buy multi-million-dollar properties. I can come and go wherever I want. And if I didn't start out by taking that basic belief in myself and take that action, it has been nothing but an upward spiral. Have I had stuff spun backwards? Yeah. But it's like one or two things, and then I get 5 more things that take me to the top on it. And I'm here to tell you the upward spiral is, if you make it a permanent part of your mindset, amazing things will happen in your life. And I'm telling you, it is really cool. But so many people are so stuck on the downward spiral, and I don't understand it. If anything can spiral downwards, it means it can go up just the same. And honestly, I believe you have more impact to do an upward spiral as opposed to a downward spiral. And if you understand the mindset of the power to do that, then that is going to be the best way to absolutely do it.